all spooky and raining. Might as well talk about this. So I realized that I never did a Stalker update on here. A big thing had happened and I had like kind of caught it on camera, but it was at work and I found out that like you can't film the building. So I had to delete the video and it never got posted because I found that out, and then I had to delete it. But basically what happened was one night when me and my coworker were working, we were sitting on the back patio taking a break, and we heard somebody walking around, and it was nighttime, it was so dark, and the motion sensor in the garage went off, and like we were watching it happen, and like we could hear somebody walking around, and like it was intense, real intense. And the next day I go back to work and I look and there was footprints in the mud, and like I had recorded all of that, I got it all on camera, and I had to delete it. So that happened, and that was like the major thing, because I was like, seriously, I finally caught this on video, and then I had to delete it. Sorry, I had to think back because this is almost 2 years ago now. I don't think big stuff happened or any phone calls or anything happened after that. I think a couple of little things happened that I couldn't tell you if it was the creeper or not, or if like there's a whole debate here on if I even had a creeper, and I realized that. But with all that stuff happening, especially that night, and I saw the footprints in the mud that dried, like that confirmed it for me that there like is some sort of creeper happening. Maybe it's not a full-on stalker, but some sort of creeper stuff was happening. So then I think the next like big thing that I don't know what it actually could have been was at my house, the screen in the window next to my bedroom was off, and we like don't know how it happened because like it wasn't like anybody messed with it or anything. Woke up, left the room, came back, and I saw it like that, and I didn't recall hearing anything. I don't remember, it was so long ago now. I don't remember if I had heard anything, but I don't think I did. I just like left the room, came back, and realized that the screen was off. And I was like, you think I would have heard that though, it falling off, or heard if somebody was tampering with it? I think that was the next thing that I was like, what the heck? Anyways, so like that was the next big thing. And see, that's the thing, it's like maybe it did just fall off, and I feel like a lot of the weird stuff that was happening to me, like I couldn't tell anybody about it. Like I felt nuts, and the only thing that was really keeping me sane was the fact that I had people experiencing it with me. Like my one coworker had experienced it with me multiple times, especially hearing those footsteps outside of work when we're sitting there. So she knew, she's like, yeah, you got a creeper, something's going on. And my boss was there the night I was telling her. I finally told her, I'm like, okay, something's going on. I explained about the phone calls and like the footsteps and everything, and literally as I was explaining it to my boss, we heard somebody at the front door. We go look and there's nobody there. My ex back then too, he was home for stuff happening too. A few times where we were hanging out and we could hear somebody at our door, or we could hear somebody at our windows. Okay, so I was gonna leave this out because it's TMI, but I feel the timing makes it more suspicious to me. So there was a few times where we would hear somebody like at the window, on the window side where our bed was at. And there was one other time where we heard somebody at the window, and then all of a sudden it sounded like somebody was at our door, like they tried to open the door. And I remember my ex going to beast mode to go and investigate and stuff. But the reason why it's TMI is because every time that type of thing would happen, It was when me and that ex were doing the mattress mambo, and it would interrupt it. You see why I'm like, the timing of that was weird. And that's the only time I recall hearing stuff so blatantly like that. You know, so he was a witness. My coworkers and my boss was a witness. So like that fact was the only thing that was really keeping me sane during this time period, because I really started thinking I'm being paranoid and it's all in my head, because I've been stalked a couple times before. So now the way I think is different, because back then when I got stalked, you know, that person had started out as a friend, and this is an IRL person. It's not like some internet person found me. It was a person I knew. Both times it happened, I was in such denial, you know. I don't think of things in a certain way. So when those things were happening, I was in freaking denial for so long. I'm like, no, Freddie's just a little weird. Freddie isn't obsessed with me. Like, my first thought isn't gonna be, oh my god, this person's obsessed with me. I will never think that. Like, each time it's happened, and even now, I mean, I look for certain signs now, but I still have a hard time being like, oh my god, this person's obsessed with me. You know, like, I'll never think that way. But now it's like, okay, this person's being a little creepy. Like, we're gonna, like, you know, so if I get that whiff, now I run the other way. But what are you supposed to do if you've never seen the person? If you don't know who it is, you know? And so for a long time, there was a debate for myself where I was like, is this even real? Is this even happening? But yeah, I think the last thing that happened was the window thing. And I think that's been it. It's been at least a year now since anything's happened. And of course, now that I'm talking about this, watch things start happening again. But I kind of feel like once COVID hit, yeah, no, now I think about it, yeah, I think right when COVID hit, like shortly after COVID hit, I think the window thing happened. And then nothing after that. Nothing of those weird little things that were happening haven't been happening anymore. I haven't been getting any creepy phone calls. You know, at work or otherwise, I haven't heard anything happening at work anymore. So like, yeah, now I think about it, ever since COVID, like shortly after COVID hit, whoever was creeping on me seems to have stopped. Either something happened to them or they got a new fixation. Because from what I understand, with somebody who thinks like that, the only way that they stop is if they get a new obsession. So perhaps I just got lucky and they moved on to something else. That is my stalker update for you guys. Hopefully it doesn't start back up now that I went and talked about it. Part of me theorized that maybe it was somebody who watched my content, who happened to be in my town and knew who I am, and thought it was funny to do all that. Because I felt like when I started figuring out what was going on and I started publicly talking about it, it got worse. And now that I haven't said anything about it, I wasn't giving updates, kind of seems like it stopped. But then again, like I said, COVID and everything too. So I don't know. Part of me is like, I hope it doesn't start back up now that I talked about it publicly again. 'Cause I think it's always possible that somebody might have been doing it for attention or just thought it was funny to freak me out. Because unfortunately there are people like that. They think that type of shit's funny when it's like, I've went through stuff like this before. It's not funny. It's actually pretty scary. So if anyone thinks that's their idea of a joke, you can write off. I'll see you guys in another video, most likely on the main channel. Sorry I don't post up here very often. I literally forgot about this channel for like 9 months, so my bad. I'll try to just like shit post on here more. Bye. Mwah. What? I'm telling a story.